Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Junk Food and You. This is the podcast where I just sort of talk about random things. And today, I'm going to talk about something that's maybe a little controversial. But I'm going to ask myself the question, is there any stores or candy that I won't review? The answer to this is yes. But the other answer is, sometimes it changes. There are definitely a few stores I do not shop at. That is 100% true. I'll explain why later. But there are certain brands that I probably will not review on candycritic.org. Sometimes, again, it's limited. So sometimes if I find a brand is maybe doing something that I don't agree with, it could be for whatever reason. It could be, a lot of the time it's because I find that they're kind of price gouging, or I just feel that they're not being fair to their fans, to their customers, to me. And so I won't review it. I talked in the past about multi-packs with limited edition candies inside it. I won't buy those often, and I won't try that and I won't review it because I feel like you're kind of ripping me off. You're not just letting me get that treat that I want. There is at least one brand that I will not review based on sort of politics. It's not politics as you know it, but it's based on a personal thing. I'm not going to say the brand, but let me just say that a friend of mine worked for this company, was treated very poorly, extremely poorly, to the point where it got into the legal and my friend was proven to be right. And I just feel like any company that treats their employees that poorly, that I know for a fact happened, and that, I have a friend who was involved with it, and there was, although the courts agreed that this was unfair, I feel every time I go by this and see this brand, that's all that sticks in my mind. So I will never buy candy from this brand. If they were to give me candy, I might review it. I just feel having a hard time giving them my money. I'm not going to say the brand, and I'm sure if you might have had a bad experience. You might have worked for a company. I've heard stories online about companies treating employees and stores that sell their stuff poorly and all kinds of stuff like that. But to me, it wasn't a firsthand experience, and so I may or may not choose to not buy that candy. There's really only one company I can think of off the top of my head. And I know there's a lot of you out there who are like, oh, but this company is like an environmental travesty, or this company uses child labor, or this company uses, unfair business practices. And you know what? I understand that, and I totally listen to that, and I totally agree with that. But I try and keep the site kind of neutral, and I try and ignore politics. In fact, this is probably the most political thing I've ever done on this website. So, I don't want to get into those weeds, and I feel bad. And to be honest, rather than ignoring the brands that do bad things, I'm going to promote the brands that do good things. So there are several brands out there who do a lot of good for the environment, who try and do their best to be conscious of child labor and environmental issues and fairness issues. And for all those brands, I congratulate you. I hope there's more of them. And part of what I do on Candy Critic as well is I try and promote the smaller brands that don't get the publicity, particularly ones that are trying to do some good stuff. So that's sort of my way of rebelling against it, is I'm not going to say no to them, but I'm going to really promote and try and put some of these smaller brands and some of these brands that are doing good things on equal fittings. So, but yeah, there are certain brands that there's one brand that I'm a little sour on. I'm not saying no forever, but at this particular point in my life, I will not buy a candy from this brand. Stores, on the other hand, I'm willing to tell you a lot of reasons why I won't shop at stores. The number one reason is price gouging. And the number one guilty party of that is candy specialty stores. They price gouge like crazy. Their argument is that they bring in a lot of imports in that are more expensive to ship. And for those candies, you know what? I'm totally for it. I still probably won't shop at your store because to me, part of my experience, I'm lucky enough that I get to travel a lot. And so I get to go to a lot of places, and I would rather buy my candy at the place than buy the import. But I understand that I am the minority in that. And so some people want to try a British Kit Kat bar and can't fly to London. Totally understand that. By all means, and if you're going to pay a little extra because they're hard to ship, you got to keep them cool and keep them in good condition. That's totally cool. The problem I have with candy, like those candy stores, is you'll see the imports, but then mixed in and not obvious is local candies too, and they also charge a fortune for them. And maybe their argument is, well, they can't buy as much bulk, so it costs them more, so they have to charge more. It's kind of a weak argument for me. I don't like it when stores gouge. If you want to buy local candy, go to a grocery store. Go to sometimes like local delis and stuff like that will have a candy aisle, and local convenience stores. Gas stations are an amazing place to find local candy. The big brands that are local, you will find them at gas stations. Amazing place to get them, and the price is generally pretty reasonable compared to your candy stores. So that's what frustrates me is that there's a lot of stores in North America, in Europe. I'm going through London and I come across a giant candy store and I see a Curly Wurly for £5. I'm like, what the hell? I can get a Curly Wurly next door at the grocery store for a quarter of that price. That's price gouging, because there's this idea that you're getting tourists who are coming in who want that sort of special thing, and they don't even realize they're getting ripped off. And so I go into candy stores, I see what's around, I see what's there. I seldom buy anything. There's been a few occasions where I found something really unique and really interesting that I really, 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 really want, and I'll pay for it. But for the most part, and I'm not saying all candy stores, there are some sort of more local candy stores that do specialize in bulk stuff and local stuff, and their prices are more reasonable. By all means, I shop at those. I like them. In fact, I love the bulk stuff because then you can test different things and see what you like. But it's those candy stores that price gouge, and you'll know them. I mean, the best way to do is go to your gas station, go to your corner store, go to a grocery store first. See what the treats are, maybe even pick up a few. Keep track of the prices of those bars that you're buying. Then go to those candy stores, those candy specialty stores, and then if they're selling the local stuff, see the difference in price for those local ones. If you notice a big jump in price, it's a price gouging thing. And to me, it seems like a horrible ripoff. And I'm sure if you're watching this and you run a candy store, you're probably saying, well, we have to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, I'm sure, but I'm not going to shop there because to me, the prices are just, for that sort of thing, are just overrated. And I'm not really interested. When I'm going to England, I'm not interested in buying American candy. Because when I go to Canada and the US myself, I can just get it there. So it's it doesn't really make sense to me. But obviously it's a good business. Obviously there's people making money off of this, so good for you, but it's just not my thing. And it's not my thing compared to what I do, and that's eat a lot of candy. So so there's that kind of store. I also tend to avoid dirty stores. I do a bit of a clean check when I go to a store. Bulk stores, I will open a few bins of gummies and poke them with a scoop. If the gummies are a big rock hard thing, I'm probably not going to buy candy at your store. I check for dust. I go to shelves that aren't necessarily in the sight, lines of sight, if you have toys and stuff on the shelves above the candy, and I check if there's dust on there. Probably not going to buy candy at your store because I'm wondering how much you're restocking. I'm wondering how much you're taking care of things, and dirt in my candy is just not something I want. So you got to be clean. You got to be be refreshing your stock, and you can't be price gouging. That's simple rules that I follow. I've broken these rules a few times, but for the most part, I'll go into these stores. I won't buy anything. So, I mean, if you see me and you run a candy store and you see me poke around a little bit and then you see me leave, you might fall into one of those categories. So, so that's, here's the most political video I've ever made. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can go to candycritic.org to find links to everything from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever.
You can also read well over 1,000 candy reviews, with new ones coming all the time. CandyCritic.org also has links to pick up my latest books, as well as some cool candy-themed merchandise.